I don't feel so good. It feels like something is festering within me. And I think it's not just something, it's the Everblack. God, I hate myself with these bad intros I'm doing. But hey, they're kind of fun actually. But hey, what's up everyone? It's your boy Matt Diazable coming at you with a new music review. Thank you for finding me. Thank you for coming on back. All of the above. I appreciate it. You the best. Now, today I'm checking out one of the hottest bands in the death metal realm, and that is the band Lorna Shore with their newest album called I Feel the Everblack Festering Within Me. I'm pretty sure this band doesn't need an intro, which I think is crazy because in my mind, Lorna Shore has always been kind of like a small-time band, but in the past about 5 years, they have blown up significantly where they are headlining massive festivals and just have a huge like aura to them and everything. But yeah, Lorna Shore is a New Jersey deathcore, death metal, symphonic metal band that's been around since about 2009, and they've released about 4 albums and about 2 EPs throughout this whole career of theirs. And if you're into the metal and alternative world, you probably know this band had a little bit of a controversy with them back in like 2018, 2019, and mostly because of member changes. For the longest time, from like I think about 10 years, they had one vocalist named Tom Barber who left to go to Chelsea Grin in 2018. I think that was their, when they were growing, still very small time band. That's when I first heard them, around the 2009, 2010, when they would open a lot of deathcore, death metal tours and stuff. I never got to see them and never seemed to put too much interest in them at the time. I just didn't seem to care when I was seeing them, their name pop up back then. And then once Tom Barber left, they got a new vocalist, some guy that, I won't say his name, but apparently right when they were about to drop a new album with him, he had some allegations against him. So they had to drop that vocalist, scrap that album practically, and then they just had to start all over again. They found this guy called Will Ramos, who's their current vocalist, and people were like amazed by him because I think this band had a perfect storm brewing for them because like that song, they made a new EP. I think when I returned to nothingness, I think, and had a song on there called To the Hellfire with Will Ramos on it when they were bringing him into the fold. And it was during, I think, COVID when people were really locked in and couldn't really do much. So this band really blew up virally, or had a viral hit with that song. And since then, they've just been getting bigger and bigger. So it's crazy to me that, 10 years ago, would I think Lorna Shore would be headlining big festivals? Probably not this early, but possibly. But it's just so crazy how fast they've grown as a band. So I'm really excited to talk about this latest album because I've never really fully listened to a Lorna Shore album. So this is my first full-on experience with them. And I think it's quite ambitious, this album they got here. I would say the best way to describe this latest album from Lorna Shore, I Feel the Everblack growing within me or festering within me. I feel like this album doesn't feel like an album. It feels like an event. Across 10 sprawling tracks, the band really pushes the deathcore sound and boundaries to its cinematic limits, pairing symphonics and choirs and ambient textures atop of their trademark style of barrage of riffs, blast beats, and just Will Ramos's inhuman vocal talents. So what do you get when you mix all that together? Well, the results are you get a very, I guess you could say, an album that is constantly feeling like it's larger than life. Sometimes a bit overwhelming, sometimes transcendent, but rarely anything. It's never less than, colossal. From the opening notes of the song Prison of Flesh, the band is aiming for something that is very mythic. The eerie ambient buildup followed by an explosion of drums and dense riffing really sets the tone for this album, and it thrives on just grand spectacle. And I will say, sometimes during this track, it can feel like it's a lot to take in at once. Because you got that choir in the background, scaling riffs, gutturals, guitar solos, and like fast blast beats all piled together where at times it can feel a little bit clustered. But there are plenty of times on this song where, all that stuff mixing together just really lands and just sounds great, especially the apocalyptic breakdown of this song. It's breathtaking. And I would say the opening song is a maximalist song full of chaos. And then the next song after that, Oblivion, one of their lead singles to this album, shows a completely different strength inside of Lorna Shore, and that is restraint. There's groovier riffs here and a tighter structure that makes it one of the album's most cohesive songs, proving that Lorna Shore can be very devastating without ever really saturating every second with noise. The soaring chorus and the very fluid guitar solo really elevate the song into one of the record's most undeniable highlights. And the band leans heavily into like orchestratic moments throughout this album, like on the songs In Darkness and Unbreakable, where these particular songs showcase the cinematic feel that they're adding to their songs. The addition of backing choirs, violins, and swelling synths can really transform their deathcore style of music into something more theatrical. And I'm really surprised by the song Unbreakable because it has a very uplifting, almost heroic energy to it. And I would say it's quite surprising coming from a band that's usually associated with despair and violence. And this duality they have on this record, brutality wrapped in like grandeur, runs throughout this whole record. So it really helps distinguish it from other countless metal acts in the scene. There are some slower, more introspective moments on this album that really shine. And I would say a good example of that is on the song Glenwood, where it starts very gently, almost reflective, before expanding into this very, I guess you could say, epic and more layered finale. It's a dynamic that proves Lorna Shore doesn't just excel at chaos, which they do, but they can also carve out an atmosphere and an emotion in quieter passages as well. Similar, there's the song Lionheart that thrives on grit and dark textures, but again, surprising, it's unexpectedly positive and affirming with its lyrical themes. I guess you could say it's a very unusual, refreshing twist on, a scene that can be very dark and very brutal and very negative with its lyrics at times. But not every experiment really pays off, I would say. By the time we reach the song Death Can Take Me, the reliance on choirs kind of blur the tracks together a bit, so it feels a bit repetitive. And the climactic breakdown on this song feels a little underwhelming compared to earlier tracks. And just as doubt kind of creeps into your mind, the song War Machine kind of like throws everything into a spin here because they bring a very thrash-infused style riffing here that reminds me of Metallica and Trivium, but kind of filtered through Lorna Shore's vicious and feral lens. It's an unexpected and very welcome injection of variety to this album. Then you have a nameless hymn that has some of the most jagged riffs on this record and some of the nastiest vocals from Ramos, delivering like some of the most heaviest stuff on this record, climaxing in a breakdown that just detonates like artillery fire. And then you have the final track here, Forevermore, which is a 10-minute epic that clearly shows that the band is trying to bring everything they've had on this whole album together for one final epic moment. Sweeping symphonics, relentless intensity, and a cinematic sprawl that could easily be put on like a superhero epic movie like theme song, or can fuel a mosh pit like any other. And unlike the longer tracks on this, or like other long tracks on this album, Forevermore really justifies every second because it just evolves constantly and closing the record out on a very true, ambitious statement. But I will say the album isn't flawless. One thing that I constantly couldn't really hear and constantly thought was a little bit of a critique was the bass was quite inaudible and you could never really hear it or feel it. The riffs, the drums, the vocals, they're all there, but maybe I'm crazy, but the bass tone just seems very absent, or maybe I'm crazy. I don't know. Maybe they don't even have a bass player, but I'm pretty sure they do. But something about that mix, I couldn't hear the bass that much. And then the density sometimes can be a little bit cluttered with how intense their blast beats and riffing can be. It gets a little clustered at times. And then at times they rely a lot on certain symphonic elements to where it verges on the, I guess, just a little bit on the side of repetition a little bit. It's still very cool, still very grand. Sometimes it does feel a little bit of an over-reliance on that. But when Lorna Shore really hit their stride, they can achieve moments on here that are very genre-defining. Prisoner of Flesh might be a little bit overwhelming, but you get Oblivion that really proves the band's, I guess you could say, capacity for balance. Glenwood kind of shows their introspectiveness, while Forevermore really cements their reach for transcendence. So they're always trying to mix things up and try and do a lot of things from this album and from what it seems like in their current and future endeavors. I feel the Everblack, Festering Within Me feels very grand, theatrical, and just very often jaw-dropping. It may stumble a few times, under its own weight, but its ambitious and its emotional range here really pushed Lorna Shore into new territory. This isn't just deathcore, it's deathcore re-imaged as a myth. So this latest Lorna Shore album, my first time experiencing them, I would have to give it up to them. It's an okay, pretty okay 8.5 out of 10. Links down below. Tell me what you think about this band, other similar bands, any experience you've had with this band, and keep an eye out because within a week or so, I am going to be filming them at the New England Metal and Hardcore Festival. Woo! Super excited for that. So till next time, guys. See you in the pit.